There is a whisper in the quiet spaces of your mind, a persistent echo that something is fundamentally amiss. It's not a grand conspiracy, but a subtle distortion, a light that promises clarity, yet delivers only deeper entanglement. This is the false light, a pervasive illusion designed not to imprison you with chains, but with gilded promises and manufactured bliss. It is a system so ancient, so deeply woven into the fabric of our perceived reality, that its very existence challenges the core of what you believe to be true. It suggests that the path you walk, believing it leads to awakening, might instead be a carefully constructed labyrinth, guiding you further into a sophisticated form of metaphysical captivity. This isn't about external forces seeking to harm you. It's about an internal mechanism that feeds on your most profound desires for peace, truth, and liberation, subtly redirecting them into a loop of endless seeking without ever truly finding. If this story is touching something in you, comment below where you're watching from and what time it is there. Within the Gnostic texts, particularly those unearthed at Nag Hammadi, we find descriptions of a reality far more complex and insidious than the one presented to us. These ancient writings speak of a cosmic architecture, a counterfeit creation, overseen by entities known as the Demiurge and its Archons. These are not cartoon villains, but rather systemic functions, forces that operate within the lower realms of existence, maintaining a simulated reality. Their primary tool is not brute force, but deception, a masterful manipulation of perception. They do not seek to destroy your spirit, but to contain it, to harvest its energy, its attention, its emotional output. The false light is their most potent mechanism, a dazzling display that mimics true spiritual illumination, yet serves only to obscure the genuine path. It is a light that blinds with its brilliance, a comfort that lulls into complacency, a promise of freedom that leads to a more refined form of bondage. This light is everywhere, in the narratives we consume, the aspirations we chase, the very definitions of success and happiness we are given. It is the subtle hum beneath the surface of modern existence, a constant invitation to engage, to react, to believe in a manufactured awakening. The challenge, then, is not to fight an external enemy, but to cultivate an inner discernment so sharp that it can pierce through the most convincing illusions, revealing the true nature of the light you follow. Gnostic texts, particularly those from the Nag Hammadi library, offer a stark, almost unsettling cosmology. They speak not of a benevolent, all-powerful creator in the conventional sense, but of a lesser deity, a craftsman, often referred to as the Demiurge. This entity, born of an error or a misstep in the higher, true spiritual realms, fashioned the material world and its immediate heavens. It is a realm of imitation, a shadow play designed to mimic the true pleroma, the fullness of divine light. The Demiurge, in its ignorance and arrogance, believes itself to be the sole God, proclaiming, "I am God, and there is no other God beside me." Yet it is blind to the true source of its own being, a spark of the divine Sophia, wisdom, that inadvertently infused its creation. Operating beneath the Demiurge are the Archons. These are not flesh and blood beings, but rather intelligent parasitic forces that inhabit the lower heavens and influence the material realm. They are the architects of the metaphysical prison, the wardens of the simulated reality. Their power lies not in physical coercion, but in their ability to manipulate perception, to weave intricate illusions, and to feed upon human psychic energy. They are the designers of the false light, a sophisticated mechanism of control that keeps souls tethered to the cycles of reincarnation and distraction within their domain. They thrive on attention, emotion, and reaction, subtly guiding humanity into patterns of thought and behavior that generate the very energy they consume. Within the Gnostic lens, this prison is not a physical cage, but a perceptual one. It is built from the narratives we accept, the emotions we chase, and the endless loops of reaction we engage in. The Archons do not need to physically restrain us. They simply need to ensure we remain enthralled by the illusion, constantly seeking fulfillment in the very realm designed to contain us. The false light is their masterpiece, a spiritual mirage that promises enlightenment, healing, and abundance, but ultimately serves to recycle our divine essence back into their system. It is the spiritual equivalent of a hamster wheel, perpetually spinning, believing it is making progress, while remaining firmly within the confines of its cage. Understanding this ancient framework is the first step in recognizing the subtle signs of the false light in our modern world, for the mechanisms of deception remain timeless. The false light often manifests as an intoxicating pursuit of superficial emotional highs. This is the first sign, a constant craving for feelings of euphoria, boundless optimism, or an overwhelming sense of love and light that feels disconnected from the grounded realities of existence. It's a spiritual sugar rush, offering temporary elevation without genuine transformation. Within this paradigm, discomfort, shadow work, or the confrontation of difficult truths are often dismissed or actively avoided. The focus shifts from deep introspection and integration to the continuous chasing of peak experiences, often through workshops, ceremonies, or teachings that promise instant bliss. This creates a dependency, a need for external stimuli to maintain the desired emotional state, rather than cultivating an inner wellspring of peace and clarity. This leads directly to the second sign, the seductive promise of instant gratification. True spiritual awakening is a process, often arduous, requiring patience, discipline, and a willingness to face one's own illusions. The false light, however, preys on our desire for quick fixes. It offers immediate solutions to complex problems, promising rapid manifestation, effortless abundance, or instantaneous healing without the necessary internal work. This can manifest in teachings that suggest simply thinking positive or raising your vibration is enough to bypass deep-seated patterns or karmic lessons. While positive thought has its place, when it becomes a mechanism to avoid genuine self-examination and responsibility, it becomes a tool of the false light. It encourages a passive consumption of spiritual concepts rather than active engagement with the challenging, often uncomfortable journey of self-discovery. The danger here is that the seeker becomes perpetually engaged in a cycle of seeking, always looking for the next quick fix, the next guru, the next technique, never truly settling into the profound, quiet work of authentic liberation. This constant external focus prevents the development of true inner discernment, keeping the individual tethered to the very system designed to harvest their attention and emotional energy. The false light system thrives on external validation and the erosion of individual sovereignty. This brings us to the third sign, the reliance on external gurus, teachers, or systems for answers. Within this paradigm, the seeker is subtly encouraged to surrender their inner authority to someone or something outside themselves. This might manifest as an unwavering belief in a charismatic leader, a specific spiritual organization, or a rigid set of doctrines that claim to hold the sole key to truth. The narrative often presented is one where the guru has arrived, has achieved a higher state, and therefore possesses the wisdom necessary to guide others. While mentorship can be valuable, the false light version fosters dependency, discouraging critical thinking and personal discernment. It creates a hierarchy where the seeker is always looking up, always waiting to be told what to do, what to believe, and how to feel, rather than cultivating their own direct connection to the divine spark within. This leads seamlessly into the fourth sign, the subtle erosion of individual discernment through manufactured consent. The false light operates by creating a consensus, a collective agreement on what constitutes spiritual truth or enlightenment. This consent is often manufactured through repetition, emotional manipulation, and the subtle shaming of those who question the prevailing narrative. If you find yourself in an environment where skepticism is met with judgment, where doubts are labeled as low vibration, or where questioning the authority is seen as a sign of spiritual immaturity, you are likely encountering a mechanism of the false light. It seeks to homogenize thought, to create a uniform field of belief that is easier to control and harvest. The true path of awakening, as suggested by the Gnostic texts, is one of radical self-inquiry, where every belief, every teaching, every perceived truth is subjected to the crucible of personal experience and inner knowing. The false light fears this independent discernment, for it is the very tool that can pierce through its carefully constructed illusions and reveal the true nature of the metaphysical prison. The false light is a master of distraction, and its most effective tool is the creation of a perpetual loop of reaction. This is the fifth sign, the constant engagement with manufactured drama, both personal and collective. The Archons, as systemic forces, thrive on the energy generated by human emotional responses, fear, anger, outrage, even excessive joy or sorrow. They do not need to invent new narratives. They simply amplify existing ones, ensuring that our attention is constantly drawn to external events that provoke strong emotional reactions. This can manifest as an obsession with news cycles, social media controversies, or even personal dramas that seem to endlessly repeat. The false light encourages us to become spectators, constantly consuming and reacting, rather than becoming silent observers of our own inner landscape. This loop of reaction is insidious because it masquerades as engagement, as being aware or informed, yet it drains our vital energy, diverting it from genuine introspection and the cultivation of inner peace. Every time we react, every time we become emotionally entangled in an external narrative, we are feeding the system. The Gnostic text suggests that our attention is a precious commodity, a form of spiritual currency. When we freely give it away to the endless stream of external stimuli, we are unknowingly empowering the very forces that seek to keep us contained. The false light does not want you to be silent, to be still, to be discerning. It wants you to be constantly stimulated, constantly reacting, constantly engaged in the external theater of illusion. Breaking free from this loop requires a conscious act of withdrawal, a deliberate choice to disengage from the drama and reclaim your attention. It demands a cultivation of inner silence, a space where the whispers of the false light cannot penetrate, and the true voice of your inner knowing can finally be heard. This is where the real work begins. Not in fighting the external, but in mastering the internal. Having identified the subtle mechanisms of the false light, the crucial question becomes, how does one navigate this intricate web of deception? The answer lies not in external battles, but in cultivating an inner protocol of discernment. This is where the true divine spark, the inherent wisdom within each individual, becomes not a mystical fantasy, but a practical capacity. The first step in this protocol is cultivating inner silence. The false light thrives on noise, on constant stimulation and external engagement. By deliberately withdrawing attention from the incessant chatter of the external world and the internal monologue it often provokes, you create a sacred space. This silence is not an absence, but a presence, a field of pure potential where the subtle whispers of truth can finally be heard, unclouded by the archonic static. The second step is honing discernment. This is the active process of questioning everything, not with cynicism, but with a quiet, persistent inquiry. When a teaching, a feeling, or a promise presents itself, ask, does this truly resonate with my deepest knowing, or does it merely appeal to my desires for comfort, escape, or external validation? Does it empower my inner authority, or does it encourage dependency? Does it lead to genuine integration and peace, or to fleeting emotional highs and a perpetual cycle of seeking? This discernment is a muscle that strengthens with use, allowing you to differentiate between the genuine light that illuminates and the false light that blinds. It requires a willingness to sit with discomfort, to challenge cherished beliefs, and to trust your own inner barometer above all else. The third step is recognizing the true divine spark as the only reliable guide. Within the Gnostic lens, this spark is not something to be acquired, but something inherent, a fragment of the true pleroma residing within you. It is the source of your authentic intuition, your deepest wisdom, and your capacity for genuine liberation. The false light attempts to mimic this spark, to offer external versions of it, But the true spark is always internal, always quiet, and always points towards self-sovereignty. It does not demand worship or adherence to dogma. It simply is. By consciously connecting with this inner core, by listening to its subtle guidance, you begin to dismantle the archonic programming that has sought to obscure it. This is not a path of easy answers, but a journey of profound self-reclamation, where your own inner light becomes the compass through the labyrinth of illusion. One of the most persistent and subtle traps of the false light is the common blind spot, the unconscious preference for the comfort of the cage. This isn't a deliberate choice to remain enslaved, but rather a deep-seated, often unrecognized fear of true freedom. The metaphysical prison, despite its deceptive nature, offers a certain predictability, a familiar set of rules and narratives, even if they are ultimately limiting. Stepping outside of this framework means confronting the unknown, dismantling long-held beliefs, and taking full responsibility for one's own reality. This can be profoundly unsettling. The false light capitalizes on this inherent human tendency towards comfort and familiarity. It offers spiritual paths that feel safe, that promise protection, and that reinforce existing worldviews, even if those views are part of the archonic system. It's the spiritual equivalent of a gilded cage, beautiful, seemingly comfortable, and offering all the necessities, but ultimately preventing true flight. Many seekers, even those who intellectually understand the concept of a hidden prison, unconsciously recoil from the radical implications of genuine liberation. They may engage in practices, read texts, and discuss concepts, but stop short of the deep, often painful internal work that truly dismantles the inner structures of the cage. This error manifests as a reluctance to fully embrace self-sovereignty. It's the desire for a savior, a guru, or a system to do the work for them, to provide the answers, or to guarantee the outcome. The false light is always ready to fill this void, offering a comforting hand that subtly guides the seeker back into familiar patterns of dependency. The true path, however, demands a courageous leap into the unknown, a willingness to stand alone in one's own truth, even when it contradicts the prevailing narratives. It requires a profound trust in the inner divine spark, even when the external world offers dazzling, yet ultimately empty, alternatives. Recognizing this unconscious preference for the familiar and actively choosing to step beyond it is a critical turning point on the path to genuine awakening. The journey beyond the veil of the false light is not a destination, but a continuous path of the seeker. It is a path defined by profound responsibility, for true liberation is an individual undertaking, one that cannot be outsourced or delegated. There are no external saviors, no ultimate gurus who can grant you freedom. Only the diligent cultivation of your own inner discernment and the unwavering trust in the divine spark within. This understanding is not meant to induce despair, but a quiet, potent resolve. It is the realization that the power to see, to understand, and to transcend the metaphysical prison has always resided within you. This path demands vigilance. The false light is subtle, constantly adapting, and will present itself in myriad forms, often cloaked in the very language of awakening. It will appeal to your desires for connection, for purpose, for peace, always seeking to redirect your attention and energy back into its intricate loops. The true challenge is not to fight these illusions, but to become so grounded in your own inner truth that they simply lose their power over you. It is to cultivate a state of being where external promises and manufactured dramas become transparent, revealing the underlying mechanisms at play. The seeker, then, is not one who passively receives information, but one who actively processes, questions, and integrates. It is a commitment to continuous self-inquiry, to peeling back layers of conditioning, and to reclaiming your sovereign attention. This journey is often solitary, for the true insights emerge in the quiet spaces, far from the clamor of collective narratives. It is a profound act of self-love and self-reclamation, a silent rebellion against the forces that seek to define your reality. The patterns are now visible. The mechanism has been revealed. The next step, the conscious choice to walk this path of lucid awareness, rests entirely with you.